Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we're going to look at more examples of community notes making Twitter users look really stupid. Now, what are the community notes? Well, basically it's the fact check system on Twitter where users can apply to have the ability to leave helpful notes underneath tweets. And if that note gets enough of a positive rating from the community, it is attached to the tweet, basically dispelling a lot of things like misinformation, for example. Now, today we're going to start with an example of a community note, but also an update to a tweet we covered in a previous video. A note has been attached to the tweet that we talked about a few days ago. This was basically a user trying to imply people are bad for liking this character from One Piece and insinuating all kinds of terrible things and saying people should be locked up for liking this character and so on and so forth. My video was used actually as a reference in this community note that reads as such. Despite the current user's outrage, they can be seen joking and even liking comments of a child who is R-worded by their teacher and instead refer to it as sex. Now here's the examples that I provided in that video. This user was basically making light of a situation where a child was being sexually abused by their teacher and liking comments that were again joking about it. Turns out it was actually more than that, but we'll go into that in a second. And they decided after getting community noted to just put their head down and keep going. They didn't delete the tweet. They just kept making more tweets, and in this case took a jab at Pokimane. And you can see what they're trying to do here. You don't have to be a tier 3 simp for Pokimane to understand the irony of this user now calling someone out in this way, where eventually they were made fun of enough that they went back and deleted that previous tweet we were talking about. And then eventually they decided to address the situation and the criticism they were facing and trying to deflect. And, you know, I don't know what it is with these large Twitter accounts where they act like they're politicians or something and have to make these sort of addresses to their community. Like, you're taking Twitter way too seriously when you get to moments like this. Just own up to the fact you made some very bad tweets and were being hypocritical about a topic that you were engaging in. However, this wouldn't go good because more people would dig into their account and find more examples of them joking about this abuse victim, where eventually they would private their account. Light work indeed. Now, what we just saw is a growing trend on Twitter where more and more antis are having their tweets hit with notes. And that's a great thing. If these people want to slander and attack people over fictional content, they should be hit with a proper note dispelling whatever crazy thing they're saying. And when users like that get hit with a note, there's really only two responses they have. Either they leave the tweet up and show just how disingenuous they are, basically having a virtual dunce cap on their account and everyone laughs at them, or option 2, where they delete it and basically surrender. And that's a good result, and we should see more of that. Now we're going to look at some more examples of community notes making Twitter users look stupid posted by this account, and I promise they're not as lore intensive as the last one we just looked at. So here's one about Mr. Beast. It says, "We need to talk about how Mr. Beast is an animal abuser who put hundreds of dogs in what's basically a concentration camp," where the note says, "Mr. Beast helped those dogs get adopted. The dogs, originally strays or taken from kill shelters, were kept in a sanctuary where an entire team of staff kept them happy." Poor Mr. Beast. He can't catch a break. Anything he does is always spun in the most negative way. And amazingly, tweets like this still get support. Here's another one, basically posting what is supposedly war footage, and the note says, "This is video from a video game." This is a growing trend on places like Twitter and really across social media in general, where people are posting video game footage and claiming it's war footage, and people fall for it. Like, it's really funny, but it's also really scary how easy it is to convince people a random clip from a video game is real life footage of a war zone. Here's another tweet saying, "The Kazakhstan language sounds like a diesel engine trying to start in the winter." And the note says, "This video doesn't have any sound," which is very confusing because this tweet has tens of thousands of likes and a lot of interactions, thousands of accounts interacting with it, but it makes no sense. The whole video is supposed to be about the sound of this guy's voice, and yet the video has no sound and people are still supporting the tweet. It's like saying, hey, making a tweet saying, "Hey, here's a cool picture," and then there's no picture, but somehow the tweet still gets so much support. It makes no sense. It really supports what a lot of people have been pushing, and that is the dead internet theory, where basically there's a claim that the vast majority of content and interactions on social media and on the internet are just the product of bots. And in tweets like this, if you look at the replies to big accounts like this, especially gimmick accounts, the replies are so confusing. They look like a bunch of bots. It's a bunch of people just making weird responses that look like something straight out of ChatGPT, and it really supports the dead internet theory. Here's another example of one of these big gimmick accounts getting hit with a note. It says, using a dead guy's name to promote OnlyFans, these people have no shame. So basically this person was trying to promote a sex tape featuring Juice WRLD, who has passed away, and the note says, this is an undisclosed ad which is against terms of service. So many of the big gimmick accounts do these sorts of posts where they're promoting whether it's OnlyFans girls or other adult content, and they're doing it in a very thinly veiled way. And here's a great example of that. Absolutely no shame. And they're only doing this because they're either being paid to do so or they're trying to get ad revenue from the engagement this post is going to get. Either way, pretty vile stuff, especially given the context of this situation. But the one good thing about community notes, and this is a recent change, if your tweet gets hit with a note, you can no longer make ad revenue on that tweet. So basically defeating the whole purpose of making these tweets, because accounts like this only exist for interaction bait. They only want interaction so they can farm pennies at a time and hope to get a decent amount of ad revenue through Twitter's monetization system. Here's another example of a god-awful tweet. This was during the whole Epstein early unsealing of the documents about a month ago. It says Stalin on Epstein Island and basically shooting everyone down, where it's hit with this note saying Stalin employed an individual who was a serial rapist and many of his victims were adolescent girls. In fact, these pro-communist people on Twitter really can't ever get their facts straight. But I will tell them an interesting fact. They can look this up for themselves. Actually, a little known fact about Stalin. He actually had 13 fingers. Yeah, don't believe me? Google search Joseph Stalin 13 and you'll see the results. It's quite shocking, actually. Moving on to the next tweet, we're trying to cancel people from about 100 years ago. This user says, 2 movies, a year apart, same bitch. Shout out to Gen Z for teaching me this. And the note says, Judy Garland was a minor during both films and had little to no autonomy during her MGM contract. During filming of Oz, she was forced to smoke up to 80 cigarettes a day and sexually harassed by producers and castmates. Yes, we are trying to cancel a child who was being abused and forced to do blackface in a movie from about 100 years ago. That's how far Twitter has fallen, ladies and gentlemen. Here's another one. Sometimes the notes are so simple and it makes it just beautiful, okay? So this account says, love language, oranges. And the note says, these are tangerines. Here's another one saying, trans person, I'm trans, society, okay? Apples rolling on ice. And the note says, these are pomegranates. Here's another one saying, Verbalaze, we talked about him in yesterday's video, spends $50K on a video of him and Charlie from Has-Been Hotel. Sick-ass gummy bears. And the note says, those are worms. Here's another one saying, trackless trains will make subways and trams obsolete. The note says, it's a bus. Here's another one. We'll end on this example here. So this user said, cigarettes aren't even that bad for you, with a picture of Jenna Ortega smoking. And the note says, cigarettes are in fact bad for you. They harm nearly every organ of the body and can lead to a variety of fatal illnesses, including lung cancer. Now, I remember when this photo was making the rounds on Twitter, and basically people saw this and they had 2 different things that they were picking up. Either they saw Jenna Ortega smoking a cigarette, or they saw her like literally murdering a baby or something, because people were so mad about this tweet. Either people thought it was really cool, she looked cool in this, or they thought it was the worst thing they've ever seen in their life. It was just a very interesting reaction to this tweet. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at some more community notes violating people. And as always, share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.